Hi, everybody. It's Deep Work Fast. I'm Chris Grimm. Thanks for being with me. This week, I want to do a deep dive into a topic that I think is super important for everyone, but today for you. So, my blog that came out on Monday is Lay Down Your Sword and Shield to magnetize the relationships that you want at work in all parts of your life. And today I'm going to speak specifically to women. Next week, I'm going to do the same topic and talk to men because the way we protect ourselves, the way we interact with people at work and at home is different for men and women. You probably know that. But if you don't, I'm going to make it super specific. Now, the sword and shield represent something that I call the armory. These are our learned ways of thinking, listening, talking, and acting, but specifically when we're in situations that are feeling either uncomfortable, making us insecure, fearful, or we feel like we need to do something more or different because it's not working out the way we wish that it would. So our armory, let's just go straight into it, has two sections. So if you would imagine it's a physical place where you could walk in and actually see things like swords and shields or whatever you want to have those items look like, it's fine. But the first section that I want to dive into is what I call our strengths overused. So let me just say that again, our strengths overused. And that's right. So we all have strengths. They're the things, the ways of thinking and talking that you have used to be successful. So whether you work outside of your home, in your home, you work as a mom in your home, you volunteer, regardless of what you do every day, you have things that make you good at it. And when other people often aren't cooperating, doing what they said they were going to do, not showing up in the way you thought they should, we often overuse our strengths. So this is our first go-to. And I'll give you some examples. Like if you're a person who is the Energizer Bunny, you're a great multitasker, and you're good at getting things done on a normal day, when all the people around you aren't stepping up and doing what you think they should do or what they said they would do, chances are you lean in. This is an example of strengths overused. Now, when we do this all the time, one, it's exhausting, right? It builds anger and resentment in most of the people that I know, myself included. It's part of the reason why I'm helping you do this work is because many of us tend to start operating now in a new way. We assume if we're habitually working with people that we're going to have to do that, right? We have to overfunction or we have to use our strengths more often than maybe we want to or we wish we should have to, because that's the only way that we can get things done. So often when I coach people, we start there. Like I'm saying, okay, time out. Like, what are you doing maybe more often than you should? You're over functioning or you're overusing the things that you are great at. And by the way, I just want to mention that what often happens is you are incentivized to do that, right? In the workplace in particular, right? We need to get things done. So of course your boss isn't going to tell you to stop doing that. Specifically, if you're the one who always shows up and takes it over the line, right? If you're super reliable, if you're the person who's willing to do the hard stuff, no one's going to tell you to stop doing that. You might be feeling it though. And like I said, what happens is it builds up anger and resentment. Same thing at home, right? We train people, by the way, by the way that we function. So if we're always doing things for everyone, which many of us do, I know I'm a mom and I have fallen into this trap too. But when I'm working with women and they're starting to tell me, specifically in private, all the things they're pissed about and how they're feeling like it should be another way, oftentimes one of those things, here's my dog drinking water, nice add to our live, thanks Shasti. But one of the ways that we overfunction all the time is this, right? We are doing things that other people said they would do or should be doing, but we're picking up the slack and it becomes habitual. Like the system learns to function that way. And we're the superhero, right? Sometimes we're the martyr. There's a whole bunch of ways this plays out in people's narratives, but the bottom line is that you may be defaulting there. Now, the second part of our armory, the second section, Shasti, really thirsty today. Sorry, everybody, but guest cameo appearance by the dog. Okay, so let's track back here because I know many of you are living this and I've been there and I want to help you change it if you want to change it. So when you live in a constant cycle of overusing your strengths, overfunctioning, and doing things for everyone at work and at home, that anger, resentment, and all the other frustrations, they build up. So the other part of our armory is actually the items we use to protect ourselves and other people. Now, it might not be protecting from what you think it is. Most of the time, all the default tactics that we have and we deploy in situations when we need to protect ourselves, it's that we're going to try and protect ourselves and the others from our maybe need or desire to explode. Now, in the workplace, most of us have learned that work needs to look and feel a certain way. We have to be buttoned up. We have to be politically correct. We know what professional looks and feels like. And outside the bounds of that are the messy, intense emotions that nobody wants to show up. Now, that doesn't mean they don't exist, right? We all have them. We're all walking around oftentimes pissy and resentful and angry. This would be normal, by the way, because we're working with other people who aren't always doing what they say they were going to do. So what happens is we're bottling all of that up so that we can look and feel the way we're supposed to look and feel. So when I'm coaching people oftentimes, then when I'm in the office and they start crying or start to tell me that they've been getting triggered lately, I'm like, yeah, you know why? It's because there's a buildup and your default tactics for dealing with that aren't necessarily satisfying you, and they might not be fixing the core problem. They're just kind of a Band-Aid on the situation. Let me give you some examples of these default tactics that I'm talking about. So one that is really common when I'm coaching women is that we go from being very verbal, right? Like we talk a lot. Women have more words than most men do, but just stick with me here. We are very verbal when we're excited, when we are confident, when we're feeling safe enough to be in charge and in control of a situation. When a situation feels like it's going sideways, and or you're now in an interaction with someone and it feels unsafe, right? You feel like you're so resentful, unhappy, and uncomfortable about whatever's supposed to happen here or could happen here that you don't want to explode, right? I don't want to cry. I don't want to tell that person how I really feel because it might come out like a dragon. And I've had those thoughts. Probably you have too, right? Where you're sitting there and you're thinking, well, they can't handle the truth, so I'm going to have to shut up now. So the default is to stop talking. So it's one of the ways we protect ourselves and other people is that we participate less. And of course, you all know that if you're on a team or in work, you're used to working with people, everybody knows, right? When someone who talks all the time, participates all the time, and is highly active goes completely silent, everybody knows something's wrong. And that causes some people, right, to do another default process, which is potentially like walk on eggshells. That's a default tactic we have to protect ourselves and other people from whatever explosion or conflict we don't want to have. Some other things that we do, I'm speaking about women right now because men are a little different than us. Women can get snarky. We can turn on each other or throw people under the bus. And oftentimes what that looks and sounds like is maybe asking the innocent leading question instead of being direct. We don't want to call somebody out. And so instead, we just ask questions, hopefully helping that person show up, when in most cases, it's actually not that helpful. So I want you to think about this. I'm bringing all this up. I always say this. I don't want to create shame. I don't want to create guilt. I'm actually trying to help you start to see what is real for you What are your strengths? When are you overusing them? How frequently is that happening? Can you hold yourself back from that and set some boundaries so that other people will show up? What are the default tactics that you have that you're using in situations where you really, really don't want to explode, or you don't want to show emotions that you think are going to be unpopular or messy? And this is an unlock, right? So the reason I'm saying this to you is because when we start to give ourselves permission to soften, to put down the sword and the shield, which I know many of you can't imagine what that could look and feel like. I've been coaching people 27 years, probably heard me say that before. And in all that time, even in my own experience, I know it's really difficult to stop protecting ourselves because we're afraid. Otherwise, we wouldn't be protecting ourselves. We wouldn't be using all these tools and tactics if we didn't feel like we needed them. So it takes a process where you get aware, where you unlearn some things so that you can learn some new ways of being in a safe space before you start to deploy them in the situations that might be a degree of difficulty 10. So I want to help you do that. I know this is a lot that I've just given you. If you are interested in this process and this topic in particular, get the blog on avi.me. There's a freebie at the bottom of that on the website. You may have already seen the pop-up. It is a workbook that I designed for you. It's completely free download. It comes with a really short few-minute video where I explain to you how to do the work in the workbook. If you need help doing it, you know where to find me. And if you really, really want to transform your whole outlook about the armory and all of these defaults that you have, and maybe the habits you have of overusing your strengths, I'm going to go to Hawaii in September. That whole retreat is dedicated to this. It's actually an intensive and it's 9 days. And yes, you're worth it. So I hope you sign up for that because it's going to be really fun and life-changing. So with that, I'm going to let you get on with your day, and I hope you do this work. And next week, guys, I'm bringing it for you. Okay, bye.